You can see the trade route coming in here, right?
Yes.
And if we switch over to the trade map mode, it gets interesting because you can see all these trade routes coming up here. And we have this global network of routes. It starts off in Asia, it's spread out across the world, and trade value sort of spreads along them. And then they pass via trade nodes. And each trade node picks up value from itself, it adds on what came into it before, and it ships it on. And what you do as a player, you want to guide this value back to your home, where you live, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for Venice, it's here at the bottom of the Gulf of Venice. It's over here. But then we look here, right? This trade route comes from Asia instead of 2, but it's really outside our jurisdiction. So this one comes here, and then it splits. So when you want to control trade that comes, the value of trade that comes into the Mediterranean, this area here is really, really important.
Yes.
So you want to project power in this area. You want to sort of gain control over it, but since the trade game is slightly different, you can be a good trading power without conquering all the provinces. So you project trading power connected but slightly different. So one thing you do is you send merchants. And you do it quite easily by clicking here. Oh, now we already sent this guy over here. So you're sending a merchant, and the merchants works really differently from what they did in the old game, and all the envoys do basically, because they were a currency in all the other games. You paid merchants and you got merchants every once in a while. But now, Venice has 3 merchants, and these merchants are sent on missions. So they work more like an actual envoy. He sails off, he does whatever he's told to, and either when it's done or when you recall him, he comes home again. So they become more like strategic resources where you make a decision to place your focus somewhere. We're gonna have like different technologies will give you another merchant. I think that at base every country should have probably one. And then there should be important national ideas you pick that give you another one. There should be technologies that give you, and I think that we're still early, but we're also trying to get all the features into some sort of reasonable state early. So we will look, because I think that as countries expand, they will need more merchants. Because the interesting bit here is that, you project power into this node, right? You use this power to steer trade. You can see the little Venetian flag, and I can easily just switch, but that would be counterproductive because I want the trade to go here. And my power compared to the other power, and you can see there's zeros here, and that means that I'm totally dominating this trade. All the value goes here, right? All the good stuff comes to me. But then you follow it backwards, right? And you find this one. And now it splits evenly, but it's not really supposed to do that. Early game, most of the trade should come here. And so as Venice, I'm going to have like a white area on the map here. It's going to look like this. The world isn't discovered for me yet.
Yes.
And I don't really have to care about that early game, because lots of good stuff comes to the Mediterranean. I fight about that in the trading.
Mm-hmm.
But then Portugal is going to sail around the Cape here. Go there again. And they're going to come here. And they're going to maybe build a base here. Maybe going to defeat the Yemenites, build another base. And the thing is that what gives you trade power, except for the merchants, they're not the only thing, right? You get, for example, when you control bases, territorial control gives you power, and some places are going to be more important than others. Like an important river mouth that was good for trade is going to be important, or some islands maybe, or straits, it's going to be important. And then fleets is also going to be important. I think that really changed there is that we want to increase the importance of fleets. So what Portugal would do, they would explore around Africa, because it's going to be hard to tackle Venice in their home Mediterranean, because they concentrate their power there, right? You come up here, you build a string of bases, you put fleets, and maybe you build a base here, as I said, and you put a fleet to patrol, and all of a sudden you have lots of power here.
Yes.
And you will start to direct trade here instead.
Mm-hmm.
And the Venetian, he needs to, either he has to do something else, right? Or he needs to adapt to this changing global situation almost. And that's why I said that the balance probably needs to allow you to get more traders as the game progresses technologically, because you're going to need them, right?
Yes.
So we think that this new trade system with like strategic control over certain areas and the fleets, it's like it comes into all the areas of the game. The exploration is going to be trade. You're going to explore along trade routes and find places to put bases. You're going to find fleet bases. You're going to use diplomacy to get access to certain points that you need to get access to, and to sort of try to get control of the sea lanes and the feeds and direct them. It's going to be awesome, I think. And I think especially interesting for countries like Portugal and or the Dutch, for example. I mean, the Dutch were a classical trading nation, but they didn't really conquer large swaths of territory. And I mean, they had most of their value here in Holland,
except in the Far East.
Yeah, except but they had power, but they had colonies in the Far East. And in the old game it was like, okay, they need the center of trade here and maybe one in the Far East. But now, you can go out and you can do like they historically did. You can build bases in the points where you need them to control a certain lane, instead of just painting the entire stretch of coastline, because that's how you build colonies, right? So I really think that's going to be a game changer, especially for small trading nations, but also, like you said, for Britain and these kind of